All right, so we just made a new video. If you haven't seen it yet, click below, check it out. But we were in Newport Beach and we were playing a fun game called Friendly Feud, putting people to the test to see how much they knew about inflation. And I was just asking them, from 1984 until today, how much has the price changed of a bunch of random different products, from a pair of jeans, a tank of gas, gallon of milk, house, all kinds of stuff. And I think it's important that everybody understands, like, why did we make the video, right? The whole purpose of this was to stimulate the conversation around things get more expensive. And I know you know that because we feel it and we're living through a higher inflation period right now. What's key about having the conversation is then identifying, like, what is it that you can do to make sure that you keep up with it. And I think depending on the stage of life, there's different perspective on this. Let's say you're born in 1984 and you're 40 years old, like the questions we were asking in the game. Well, then you're at a stage of your life, you've got probably 20 plus years if you follow the average retirement track. So for you, how's inflation hurting you if you don't keep up with it? Well, one, the average American gets a 1% raise per year on their annual salary. But inflation has averaged 2.83% per year since 1984. So every year you're not increasing your income by that much or more, you're falling behind, which means you've got to sacrifice somewhere, either your lifestyle or the amount of money that you're putting away for the future. And the money you're putting away for the future is basically your way at buying your retirement, because you need to have so much money stacked in investments that can turn around and pay you so you can quit your job and you can live off of that. And inflation deteriorates the purchasing power of a dollar. So what do I mean by that? Well, I have a little program on my computer, run some numbers here. You need $10,000 today to be able to buy the same thing that you only needed $3,300 to buy in 1984. So you've got to keep up your earning power, and you've got to make sure the money that you have invested is keeping up its purchasing power by making equal to or greater than the average inflation rate. So look, if you're still working, then I want to encourage you to keep up with inflation. You got to make sure that you're making moves, right? You're getting promotions. You're asking for raises if your company doesn't give them. Maybe it means that you've got to do some side hustles or sell valuable things. Bring in money and be able to deploy it somewhere where it helps you keep up with inflation and you don't compromise the rate at which you're putting away for the future. Or if you're an entrepreneur and you're building your business, you may need to pay attention to things like you've got to raise your prices. You may not want to, but you might need to, because everything's raising on you. And the cost of goods that you sell is going up, which means your profits may be getting squeezed. These are all effects. The other perspective is you're older. You're within a couple of years, or maybe you're already retired. And you are going to live off of your assets, because it's likely that Social Security, and if you're lucky enough to have a pension, those two things aren't enough for you to live off of, especially if you live here in Southern California. So you're going to need to draw down on your assets. And one of the biggest mistakes that we see people making when they're getting ready to retire is they calculate how much money they're going to need to pull off of their assets based on how much it costs to live the lifestyle they live right now. But we know that the lifestyle you live now is only going to go up in price. And so you can't just calculate how much you need to pull off that money today. You need to calculate how much you need to pull off today, and then how much you need to increase it every year, and then put it to the test and see if it can sustain it. Now, these are formulas that you probably are not interested in sitting down and crunching the numbers for. That's why we pay for advanced software for people like you to have free access to. You can use our tool called MyBlock's Money Guide. You can go in there, you can plug in your situation, you can start to fiddle around with it and see if inflation were to match what it's done over the last 40 years, at what pace does your money need to grow at? How does your salary need to keep increasing? And ultimately, what is your probability of successfully retiring, living off of your own assets, and not running out before you die? So I just want to encourage you, if you're watching these videos and you're like some of the people commenting who are saying like, what's the point? Or yeah, woohoo, inflation, we all know it's a thing. True. Do you have a strategy? And there's some things I can't really get into here just because of rules, regulations, compliance, but you need to invest money in assets that will compete against inflation, or better yet, in assets that actually appreciate and they grow because of inflation so that you can leverage inflation and not be beat down by it. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that you subscribe, comment, like some of these videos, and if this is valuable in any way to you, please look out for more and share your ideas of different financial topics and concerns that you'd like me to get more into, and for us to interview the public and see how much they don't know.